Hey guys, a while ago I saw that Tati, and I think it was Nikki Tutorials, reviewed this new beauty blender. This is my very original one, very beat up. And then this new product came out, which is called the Super Sponge. So the Super Sponge is a purple blender, which seems to be around about the same size as the original beauty blender. But how is it different? It says this sponge won't suck. It's non-absorbent, so it can give you 2 to 4 times more foundation coverage than you would have gotten from the normal beauty blender. Now remember, the premise of the original beauty blender was that you use less product per application than what you normally would if you were to apply with your fingers or if you were to apply with a brush. Because if you use the beauty blender correctly, in other words, you dunk it into water, you let it expand, and then you squish out the excess, the cells are filled with water, so it can't absorb your foundation or whatever product you use to apply it with. Yes, it expands when it's wet, just like the original beauty blender. It has a longer lifespan, so it has a 2 to 4 times longer lifespan than other sponges. They're comparing it to the iconic pink beauty blender sponge that changed the makeup game. So they say this one is marshmallow soft, antibacterial, because it has a silicone-infused barrier that limits bacteria. So that seems to be a point of difference. This product is latex-free, but it's also silicone-free. It also says this one scrubs clean. You can just use soap and a scrubber. I would have thought it's a scrubber, but it's a scrubber. In South Africa, the price of this one would be around about 450 Rand. I know that the company who distributes it no longer distributes it in South Africa, so you have to import it. You have to buy it from Sephora if you travel overseas, or you have to buy it online from a sub-distributor. This one is not available in South Africa yet, as far as I know. It ends up being round about the same price. The final call will not be that $1 or $2 difference between the two, even if this is $3 more expensive, but it will be the efficacy. I can see that these little nodules, they're very gentle. They're not as hard as most makeup, because I have a makeup mat. I absolutely believe in that as a way to clean your brushes. But my makeup mat's little nodules, or whatever you call these things, are way harder. And I have suspected that maybe they can actually break up a sponge if you're too vigorous with it. There's some merit to it, to having this one. It's got this little holding thing, so I assume you would hold it like that in your hand, and then you can work with your sponge on top of that, and then Super Sponge. Oh yeah, this feels more dry and spongy, the beauty blender. This feels a little bit more rubbery because of the silicone. What's interesting is it's dark at the top, it's got a slight sparkle, it's got like a mermaid kind of glitter in it that's super, super fine. I wonder if that comes off. It doesn't seem to come off on your hands, but one would hope that that really is kind of embedded in the fabric of the product, and that you don't want glitter on your face if you're not a glitter queen. And then at the bottom, it also feels softer than the beauty blender. So it's a little bit more rubbery at the top and a little bit more spongy at the bottom. I'm going to be using the original beauty blender on one side of my face, and I'm going to be using the Super Sponge on the other side of my face. We're going to compare the finishes. We're also going to compare the amount of product that each sponge needs to get a beautifully covered and flawless finish. What I'll also do is check whether the finish is the same on both sides, how much time it takes to get the application on each side with each individual sponge. So now I'm going to start applying product on the one side of my face with the original beauty blender. And I'm bouncing it in the normal way as I always apply it. I like to use the round side, the back side if you will, of the beauty blender, because the round side gives the best finish for me. There was a spot of foundation here. We have used all of this to do coverage on my face. Now I'm applying product with the Super Sponge. I have to use the side of the Super Sponge, the part that is silicone infused, because that's what the company recommends. If you use the soft, spongy part of it, it can degrade the product quicker. So it's a little bit of a learning curve just to adjust the application technique. What I can see right off the bat is you have to use a little bit of product when you use the Super Sponge, because a little goes a long, long way. because you can literally use half, maybe even a third of what you normally would use. Now I'm going to be adding corrector as well as concealer. For corrector, I'm using Bobbi Brown. So I hope this is a difference that you guys can see on camera. I think you should be able to see it. To me, it is patently obvious that the side where I used the super sponge has a lot more coverage. It still looks natural and beautiful. And on the side of the beauty blender, there is less coverage, or I had to work harder to attain the same amount of coverage. And I don't feel that the finish on this side is as good as on the side of the super sponge. So this is really amazing. To me, this is kind of like a groundbreaking moment in makeup. I would have never have thought that the original beauty blender could be improved. It was the holy grail beauty tool of the beauty community and every makeup professional. But then along came the super sponge and it blows it out of the water. It gives better coverage, a better finish using less product, and it sparkles like a unicorn. So, sorry beauty blender, it's not me, it is you. I'm going to opt for the super sponge. I have 15 of these. I'm definitely investing in this one and getting more of it. I love it. The finish is beautiful. The finish is natural. You use a lot less product. I would guess 3 times less product, or at least half the amount of product that you need for the original beauty blender. It's a no-brainer. If you want to save on product and if you want a better finish on your foundation and on your powders and with your primer, this is the answer.